What may cause diesel fuel injection pump to fail? Here is the deal. Whether you've experienced fuel injector failure or not, it helps to understand the fuel injector pump, how it relates to engine performance, and also how diesel fuel injection pumps differ from traditional gasoline-powered units. So what does a diesel fuel injection pump do? It's about as simple as you can get. Fuel injectors supply fuel to the engine's internal combustion chamber. High-performance automobiles usually have one fuel injector per cylinder, and the pump injects fuel into the combustion chamber, hence the name fuel injector. The fuel is dispersed from the injection pump to the combustion chamber via a fairly simple process. Pressurized fuel enters the fuel injector. Based on a signal from an electrically controlled solenoid valve, the solenoid valve acts as a type of on-off valve. The fuel enters a plunger, which prepares the fuel for the final exit. When the fuel leaves the fuel injector, a spray tip distributes the fuel as a fine mist. Today's diesel fuel injection pumps are under pressure, even more pressure than what was once considered normal. Around 15 to 20 years ago, it was common for fuel injector pumps to process fuel in a system at around 10,000 to 15,000 psi pounds per square inch. But that's only about half of what engines are expected to do today. Fast forward to the present day, and those diesel fuel injector pumps are operating in the 30,000 to 40,000 psi range. Top-end engine performance is in many ways dictated by how much fuel can be processed by the engine. Basically, a superior engine can process fuel and air better than an average engine. That's one reason why turbochargers are so effective at increasing horsepower, and a greater internal pressure is a necessity. That helps explain the significant pressure output of today's fuel injection pumps compared to those from yesteryear. 99% of diesel fuel injector failure can be traced to two different issues: faulty mechanical problems in the physical fuel injector housing, fuel quality, or rather, lack of quality. From these two things, a host of problems can surface. Let's take a look at common fuel injector pump complications causes. 1. Dirty fuel. A clean diesel fuel pump injector is a happy diesel fuel pump injector. Over time, residue can build up in the fuel system, and enough gunk, grime and grease can clog up the entire fuel injector pump. The spray tip, where the fuel leaves the injector and enters the combustion chamber, is particularly prone to backing up, so to speak. Save for ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel, ULSD, and diesel engine owners have noticed more dirty fuel difficulties than before. 2. Low fuel tank level. If your main goal in life was to destroy diesel fuel pump injectors, you'd run your car with the fuel tank as close to empty as possible. It all has to do with lubrication. With plenty of diesel fuel in the tank, the fuel pump bearings receive plenty of lubrication. With a near-empty tank, the fuel system is suddenly pushing air instead of diesel fuel. Anything but diesel fuel can wear out the fuel pump bearings, which means the fuel injectors will not receive the fuel at the pressurized level, 30,000 psi, 40,000 psi, etc. It should be. Additionally, diesel fuel injector pumps are designed to function with a minimum amount of fuel in the tank, but running the tank too low can stress the pump and cause it to fail prematurely. One of the main reasons is that it can lead to the pump sucking in the air. This can damage the pump by causing it to work harder than normal. 3. Clogged fuel filter. A clogged fuel filter can cause a bad diesel fuel pump. First, if the fuel filter is clogged, it can restrict fuel flow to the pump, causing the pump to work harder and eventually overheat. Second, a clogged fuel filter can cause the pump to cavitate or form pockets of air in the fuel, which can damage the pump. In addition, a clogged fuel filter can allow dirt and other contaminants to enter the pump, leading to its premature wear and failure. 4. Faulty fuel injection systems. If the fuel injection system is not up to the task, it may cause early failure of the fuel pump. The most common cause of this is when the injectors are not properly maintained. If they become dirty or clogged, they can put extra strain on the pump and cause it to fail prematurely. It is important to ensure that the fuel injection system is operating correctly and that all its components are in good condition. 5. Water in fuel pump. If you are a fan of off-roading and drive through deep mud puddles, there is a chance that water can enter the fuel pump. While most pumps are designed to be waterproof, they are not immune to failure. If water does enter the pump, it can cause damage and eventually lead to its failure. My candid advice will be stay away from reading into the mod of your wallet isn't thicker enough to cater for the expenses of replacing diesel mechanical fuel pump that can fail due to water. 6. Foreign object inside injector. Diesel fuel pump injectors are high-precision components. They also deal with a tremendous amount of motion and other stresses. One small visitor inside, a piece of dust, debris, etc., can clog the injector. Worse yet, a microscopic object can leave the injector open all the time. If the injector can't close, cylinder performance is compromised. 7. Bad injector timing. Whenever the fuel injector pump's O-rings or ball seats are defective, the timing of the fuel transfer process is disrupted. This is a common diesel fuel injector pump glitch and usually requires a complete injection pump rebuild or replacement. As anything that obstructs the injector timing order will have adverse effects that often result to premature failure of your diesel fuel injector pump. 8. Rusty fuel tank or fuel lines. If your car's fuel tank or fuel lines are rusty, it can cause the pump to fail. This is because rust can flake off and enter the pump, causing damage. Additionally, rust can cause the fuel lines to become clogged, restricting the flow of fuel to the pump. 9. Low-quality diesel fuel. Several things can cause a bad diesel fuel pump, but low-quality fuel is often one of the prevalent culprits. Using low-quality or contaminated fuel can clog up the filters in your fuel pump and prevent it from operating properly. This can lead to a loss of power, decreased fuel economy, and eventually complete engine failure. While it's always best to use high-quality diesel fuel, if you use lower-quality fuel, ensure your fuel pump is checked regularly to avoid any serious problems that may occur due to dirt sediment that is often settle at the bottom part of your fuel tank found at the failing diesel fuel injection pump replacement cost. The cost of replacing a diesel fuel pump can range from $600 to over $1,200. It all depends on the vehicle you drive and the job's complexity. If you have a commercial truck, for example, it could cost upwards of $2,000 to replace the fuel pump. The major chunk of the total replacement cost is the price of the diesel fuel pump itself, which may cost somewhere between $500 to $1,000. The labor costs only amount to $100 to $200. To cut costs, you can look for used or aftermarket diesel fuel pumps. These can be found online or at your local auto parts store. Be sure to check the compatibility of the pump with your vehicle before making a purchase. You should also have a professional install the pump to ensure it is done correctly. Conclusion. Here's the good news about fuel injector pump problems. Avoiding disaster is simple. In fact, if you do these 3 things, you'll enjoy great performance and minimal repair costs. Purchase clean, reliable fuel. Change your fuel filter every 40,000 miles. Keep your fuel tank at least 1/4 full most of the time. Frequently asked questions. What happens when a diesel fuel injector pump fails? When a diesel fuel injector pump fails, it can cause a wide range of problems. The most common symptom of a failed injector pump is engine stalling. Other symptoms can include poor acceleration, loss of power, and increased fuel consumption. In severe cases, a failed injector pump can lead to engine failure. How to test a failing injector fuel pump? If your vehicle begins to experience fuel pump failure, there are a few tests you can perform to diagnose the issue. First, check the fuel pressure. If the pressure is low, it could be an indication that the fuel pump is not working properly. You can check the fuel pressure by using a fuel pressure gauge. If the fuel pressure is low, the next step is to check the fuel pump relay. The relay supplies power to the fuel pump, and if it is not working properly, the fuel pump will not receive the power it needs to operate. How long can you drive with a failing diesel fuel pump? If your diesel fuel pump is failing, you should not drive for more than a few hundred miles before getting it checked out by a mechanic. A failing diesel fuel pump can cause engine damage, so it is important to get it fixed as soon as possible. How long does a diesel fuel pump last? Diesel fuel pumps are built to last, but they will eventually wear out. The average diesel fuel pump will last for about 100,000 miles. However, if you take good care of your vehicle and use high-quality diesel fuel, your fuel pump could last even longer.